Students, welcome to another Mr. Ness screencast. Today's aim is making the journey, and here are your objectives. Please pause the video, look these questions over, and get ready to copy some vocab terms and take some notes. In this video, you're going to learn some terms to describe typical experiences that immigrants have. And your first term is Ravenstein's Laws of Migration. This is Ernst Ravenstein. He was a German English geographer who studied migrants in the 1800s, and he observed common characteristics among them. And then he came up with various laws of migration. These are basically a model or a theory that predicts common characteristics of migrants. Let's look at 4 of his laws. The first law says that most migrants move only a short distance or internally within their country. So Ravenstein is saying that most migrants don't cross borders and they don't move very far. And this is certainly true of the rural to urban migration that's happening in many less developed countries today. And you can connect this to the gravity model because people tend to be more familiar with places that are close to them. They know the people, they speak the language, they're comfortable with the culture. So it maybe makes sense that people would try to move closer rather than farther. The second law says that most migrants come from rural areas. And again, this fits with what you've learned in class about internal migration in poorer countries. The third law says that most migrants who do move long distances move to urban areas. So contrast with this with the first law. The first law said that most migrants move a short distance, and this one is saying that those who do move a long distance often end up going to cities. And the fourth law says that the typical migrant is a single man in their young working age years, about 25 to 40 years old. And of course, not all immigrants are single young men, but Ravenstein says that a majority of them are. Now let's look at step migration. Step migration means that the journey occurs in stages, and migrants may stay for a long time in one place along their journey, perhaps to earn money that will fund the rest of their trip. Step migration is common because the journey that migrants make is rarely direct. They make stops along the way. The next term is chain migration, and it refers to the tendency of immigrants from one place to follow each other to the same destination, to the same new place. And this occurs because if one person migrates to a place that they like, usually because it has job opportunities, he or she may send word to friends or family that they should come as well. Chain migration exists at the country level, like someone who immigrates from Honduras might tell other people from Honduras to move to the same place. But it exists at much smaller scales too. For example, a study of Little Italy in New York in the early 1900s found that the population of a single Italian village ended up moving to the same block in New York City, sometimes even to the same apartment building, because people followed their friends and family from their origin to the exact same destination. An effect of chain migration is the formation of what are called ethnic enclaves. An ethnic enclave is a neighborhood and a city that has a high concentration of immigrants from the same country. Some of the more famous examples in New York are Little Italy and Chinatown, but any neighborhood that you can think of that has a strong presence of a certain culture is probably an ethnic enclave. And these result from chain migration because when migrants from the same country follow each other to the same place, they settle in the same neighborhood, they open their own restaurants, their own shops, their own places of worship, and voila, you get an ethnic enclave. Remittances are money that immigrants earn in their destination country but send back to friends and family in their home country. And in some countries that have a lot of net out migration, in other words, countries that have a lot of people leaving them, remittances may form a large percentage of the country's GDP. If you look at this graph, here's Honduras at the bottom. This says that in 2017, remittances accounted for $4.3 billion of Honduras's economy. That is a lot of money that's being sent home. So this is people working in other countries and then sending money back to Honduras. You've probably seen shops that handle remittances around New York, even if you weren't aware of them. They often say money transfer or Western Union, or they have other names. Let me show you a single block that I found. This is on Coney Island Avenue in Kensington, Brooklyn, and you can see several remittance shops on this one block. Let's start. Let's see, what do we got here? Where are we? All right. If we look over here, we have let me zoom in on this. Here it says fast, reliable, and secure worldwide, and you can see it says money transfer on the sign. Next to that, we have another sign that says global money transfer, and next to this one, we have a pharmacy which also has money transfer. And if we cross the street, I think we can find even a third or fourth one. We have the Travel Home International money transfer. So these places are all over the city, and once you start to recognize them, I think you'll start noticing them everywhere. All right, the last term today is intervening obstacle, and it means any factor that makes migration more difficult. There's a lot of different examples of intervening obstacles, and we can categorize them as either socio-political, economic, or environmental. Let's look at an example of each. The most common intervening obstacle is immigration policies. And that means that migrants must deal with laws in other countries that make it hard for them to cross borders. They can be detained or even deported. An economic intervening obstacle would be money that's needed to pay people like smugglers or immigration lawyers. And money might also be needed for transportation along the journey, like for a plane ticket or a bus ticket. Finally, an environmental intervening obstacle would be difficult terrain to cross, like crossing a desert or crossing an ocean. All right, it's time to review the objectives. If you don't know the answer to any of them, just rewind the video and look again. I will see you in class. Bye, students.